Hello, everyone. This is Michaela, fertility coach, and thanks everyone for being here. I know you're here because you want to find natural solutions for your fertility health. And today, actually, I have a very interesting guest. His name is Dr. Floyd. Hello, Dr. Floyd.
Hello, thanks for having me on, Michaela. It's great to be here. I love what you're doing. I've been watching you from afar for what, 7-8 months now, at least. So seeing your journey, it's been great. It's nice to see you helping lots of people. So
thank you so much for being here, and same goes for you. And that's why I really saw that our approaches are so very similar, although you're dealing with people helping people with their gut health, with their leaky gut, right? And my clients, they're having issues with fertility. So, but what is the common to all that? It's the microbiome, right? It's their gut health. So I wanted to ask you today a few questions. And maybe first you can actually introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, because so people know what you do.
okay, sounds great. Yeah, my name is Dr. Floyd. I am a board certified functional medicine physician in family medicine, and then also in functional medicine. I've done 2 years of trauma surgery. I did family medicine, and then I was an ER physician for 7 or 8 years. I've done hospital medicine, and I have an integrative medicine clinic as well. And through my functional medicine practice, it really resonated with what I believe in. And food is medicine, right? And it really solidified my ideas that I've had my whole life. Luckily, that you are what you eat, and if you eat garbage food, it's like the garbage in, garbage out for computers, right? It's I just saw a meme that said like food is programming for the cells, like coding is programming for a computer. And it's true. What you eat really does matter. And unfortunately, the standard American diet is I'm watching it kill people. Literally, it's killing people dead and destroying people's lives. So I really decided that I needed to make a stand and make a difference. And this is how I'm doing it, because I'm sick of seeing sick people. And I want people to be healthy. So, and I know that's your goal as well. You want to optimize people's health so that they can have a happy, healthy little baby. So that's cool. Like we're in the same boat. So that's great.
Yeah, exactly. And it's and you've been an ER doctor, you said, for like 7 years or something. So you've been through seeing a lot of patients in very different situations. Is there a common something common that you've noticed throughout the years, or the people coming through?
Yeah, again, it goes back to diet. Most people eat poorly. Bottom line, they eat poorly. And it's my opinion that the human body is genius, and if you just treat it right, it'll treat you right. But if you fill it full of garbage foods, like what the standard American diet is, you're in trouble. You're going to be in big trouble, and it's not going to be good for you. And because of that, it's going to lead to chronic disease. I mean, granted, if someone comes in with a car wreck, that has nothing to do with food, but these chronic diseases that seem so prevalent in North America today, they all have, I think, one common root cause, and that's inflammation, generalized inflammation. And I believe that generalized inflammation is the root cause of all chronic disease. And like not even chronic disease, it can be acute disease. Like if you get super inflamed, it's going to change how you think. I mean, there have been studies about how, when people eat specific foods, red food dye or things like that, they become violent. They've done studies on, I believe it was in Stanford prisoners, the Stanford prison study, where they fed these prisoners, I mean, with their consent, of course,
Yeah.
Different food dyes, and they became violent, like almost immediately, and I've noticed it when I eat certain types of food, I get mood disturbances. And so, again, it goes to either food is either medicine or it's poison. And so we need to make food medicine for all of us. And I know that goes for your clients and patients as well. So that's cool.
Yeah, so it's the gut brain connection, right?
100%.
It goes back to. So what do you do to help your patients?
I have got a 3-step process. It's actually 6 R's: remove and replace, repair and rebalance, and rejuvenate and reclaim and rejuvenate. Basically, it's first thing you got to do is remove the offending agents and replace them with good stuff. You got to get rid of McDonald's. You got to get rid of processed foods. You got to get rid of just garbage, standard American food. And you got to replace it with good food. And I mean, it doesn't have to be like amazing food, but it's got to be natural, whole foods, organic foods. I just did a thing on making my own sauerkraut. And the reason I do that is because it's really good for the gut microbiome. And it's high in fiber, and it's not processed. It's just whole foods. So that's the first step, is you gotta get rid of certain foods. And my main, what I tell all my clients and all my patients in my clinic, and even in the hospital, because I still work in the hospital every now and then, is gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. I repeat it: gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. If I said it once, I've said it 5,000 times, So, and I think if just your clients could do just that, that would probably up their odds of having a baby. So,
right. Yeah. So, what do you think is the number one thing people ignore in their lives or in their diets, mainly?
Whole foods and fiber. I would think more plant foods. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a big meat eater. I hunt, I fish, I raise sheep, and, I butcher them and eat them. It's great. And I do not eat McDonald's meat, meat from whatever the local grocery store, because factory farm meat's terrible. But my meat is grass fed, and, wild. So if you're going to eat meat, it should be wild game. But one of the things I think is probably one of the biggest things lacking in the standard American diet, which unfortunately is taking over the entire world because of greed, is fiber. You can't have enough fiber in your diet. I literally cannot have enough fiber in your diet. The standard American gets about 10 to 13 grams of fiber a day. And the recommended daily intake of fiber for women is, I want to say 18 to 25. And for men, it's like 33 to 38, almost 40 grams of fiber a day. Okay. And so the standard American, and I'm sure that this is for Canadians as well, gets like 13 grams of fiber a day. That's like 1/2 to 1/3, depending on your sex, of how much fiber you really need. And, it, you've seen my fiber video and why fiber is so good for you. For your clients, fiber helps optimize hormones. It's that simple. Fiber binds to estrogen, and it helps you excrete it out in bowel movements. And when you don't have enough fiber, you get to what's called enterohepatic recirculation of hormones, and your hormones get out of whack. Again, the human body is genius, and it knows what your body needs and wants. And if you just optimize what you're putting in your mouth, your body will do the rest. So I would say fiber is probably the number one thing that people need to increase to be healthier in their diet.
Thank you so much for this vivid explanation. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people. Yeah. So you mentioned you're doing your own sauerkraut. You're mentioning microbiome. I've also mentioned the microbiome, but let's just talk about it again. Like, what is the microbiome for those people that are just tuning in and they're like, what? What is microbiome? Why is so important?
Yeah, the microbiome is it's fairly newly discovered, but it makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, we got bacteria all over our bodies. We got bacteria all over our hands. We have the microbiome is basically the gut. There's multiple microbiomes. You have a microbiome in your eyes. You have it in your nose, your mouth, your ears, and basically the gut microbiome is bacteria, viruses, and fungi that live inside our intestinal tract, basically from the mouth to your bottom. Okay. And they live inside there and they produce, it's not a symbiotic relationship. It's called a commensal relationship, meaning that we as humans benefit from these bugs, but the bugs really kind of don't benefit from us and they're not harmed by us, but they can be harmed by what we eat. And so the microbiome really takes food, digests it, and makes byproducts which actually lead to our improved health. The microbiome is responsible for increasing serotonin, increasing dopamine, making those also short chain fatty acids like butyrate, which is actually the fuel for the enterocytes. The enterocytes are the cells that line the inside of your intestine, right? And so if you have a good microbiome and they're making the butyrate, which is what the enterocytes live on, you have a healthier gut health. And gut health, they're saying they've studied over and over and over now, is paramount. Good gut health is paramount to good overall generalized health. And so, the microbiome, if I were to cut you in half, literally just cut you straight in half, and then take like an ice cream scooper out of the middle of you and look at the DNA, it's like 95% non-human, okay, which is weird, right? So you are more bugs than you are human. And, a lot of people don't understand that. And a lot of people don't think that, like, hey, it's important that I take care of my microbiome and take care of my gut health. But it is very, very, very important because we are more bug than we are human. I have a book called 10% Human, and it talks about the microbiome. And the microbiome is so important to good health, and it can be easily maintained if you eat well, but it can also be easily disrupted if you eat poorly. If you, eat, if you drink a lot of diet soda, it has aspartame, these artificial sweeteners, they kill your microbiome. Aspartame was discovered when they were looking for a new insecticide. Somehow someone tasted it and it was sweet. I don't know who did that. It's kind of crazy, but so, again, it goes to food, and, you have to be conscientious and aware of what you eat to feed your microbiome, but also to protect your microbiome. You shouldn't be around, Roundup, bug spray, things like that. You don't want to, be ingesting antibacterial soap. You have bacteria on your hands. When you use antibacterial soap, it kills the microbiome on your hands. It's a very fine line about a healthy microbiome with the good bugs versus the bad bugs. The good bugs it's always a war going on. And the good bugs, when there's lots of them, they do better and they keep the bad bugs at bay. Okay, I can explain it to you. Like a lot of people may have heard it, may not have heard about C. diff colitis. C. diff colitis is an antibiotic associated diarrhea, because what happens is people take antibiotics by mouth. It kills the good bugs inside the guts, and then the bad bugs take over. The C. diff, Clostridium difficile, is already it's in us, but it's kept at bay by the good bugs. When you kill the good bugs, the Clostridium difficile has a chance to blossom, and next thing you know, you're sick as snot. You got diarrhea, and you can actually die from C. diff colitis if you don't get treated quickly enough. So, I mean, that's kind of a quick, what's the microbiome in a nutshell for you.
Thank you so much. That's a lot. That's a really good explanation. So the microbiome, we are one organism, we are little bugs together, and we are shaped in one whole. So treating whatever disease, you need to look at the whole, not at different parts, right? We're coming to the same
100%.
conclusion, right? All right. Okay, so perfect. And how can people find you? They can always email me, of course, at but in any case, if somebody wants to work with you on their leaky gut solutions, what can they do to find you?
Well, you can go leakygutsolution.com, and there's a hyphen between the word gut and solution. There's my other website is my email is robert@leakygut-solution.com. The leaky gut solution was already taken up, so unfortunately I had to add a hyphen there, which can be confusing, but it's pretty simple. Then you can look at Dr Floyd, drfloyd.org. It's another website, my personal medical website. And then also, if you want to book a call, it's chatwithdrfloyd.com. But if you want to look at my my webinar, or you can follow me on Dr Floyd on Facebook. So
Perfect. Thank you.
And then also, like, you can always reach out to Mahala, and she knows how to get a hold of me as well. So yeah, I'd love to see if I could help other people. It'd be great. So
excellent. Thank you so much for taking the time from your busy schedule to speak with us. Okay.
Of course, absolutely. There's one more question that you had asked me before about how the microbiome could interfere with fertility in males and females. It's kind of like I said before, if you have an abnormal microbiome, you don't have enough of the short chain fatty acids. And like I said, you can have that, it can lead to a couple different things. One is inflammation. And when you have generalized inflammation, it throws off your hormones, because your hormones are, they're very sensitive to different changes in your body, right? So a lot of guys these days, they have some, central adiposity, which means, they're central obesity. That leads to generalized inflammation. And it also leads to an increased estrogen predominance, and you don't have enough testosterone as a male. And so the generalized inflammation throws off your hormones by inflammation and by the central adiposity of too much estrogen. But then the microbiome can throw off your hormones as a male by changing the amount of testosterone that's actually circulating through your body and that's actually free to do what it's supposed to do. So, one of the first things I would tell your clients, if I was helping them, is, you gotta decrease the inflammation. You gotta go gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. And then you gotta do that, you gotta commit to that 100% of the time for the first, 1, 2, 3, 4 months. And then, we're all human, right? I like to cheat every now and then, have pizza or whatever, which is terrible. It's gluten and dairy. And, but, you got to go then stick to the 90-10 rule. I live by a 90-10 rule. 90% of the time I do what I have to do. And I fast, and I'm gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, but every, 10% of the time, yeah, sure, I'm going to have a little bit of chocolate, not the good dark chocolate like you're supposed to, but like some, wheat, milk chocolate or something, or a chocolate croissant or something like that. But then you got to, make sure that you just don't beat yourself up over it and say, okay, I cheated today. Guess what? Tomorrow I'm back on the 90% rule. And you do what you're supposed to do 90% of the time. And I think even if your clients did that, it would improve their odds of conception dramatically.
Right. So. Thank you so much for coming back to that question. But it's like, since you have such a good microbiome, it would be easy to get back into track, right? Like, yeah. So cheating 10%, it's not that big of a deal once you get to that level.
Exactly 100%. What it is I think it's a chronicity of people eating poorly you're chronically inflamed over and over and over
Yeah.
and over and over. When you are not chronically inflamed, 90% of the time, if you eat a little bit of junk food, it's a lot easier for your body to go back to a healthy homeostasis, a good balance. And that's kind of how I think, again, we're human. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to have this or that. And, and I don't beat myself up. I accept it when I do it. And I say, okay, that's fine. I'm like, one of the examples I'll have is if I go to someone's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
They cook me dinner. I'm not going to be that jerk and be like, oh, I can't eat this. It's not my paleo diet, whatever. I don't want to be that jackass. Right. So, and I've had people like that. And it just, you got to say, okay, this is the situation I'm in. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to do this. And tomorrow I'm going to, go back to, doing what's right. So.
Yeah. Well, you're not trying to conceive now, right? So it's not such a big deal.
No, definitely not. But again, like, one of the things I did say before is that if you want to be successful at this, you got to be committed. You have to be a good patient, a good client, and commit yourself, because as we both know, the secret to your client's success is how much they bring to their table and how committed they are to themselves, right?
100%. Yeah.
So, we can only go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I cannot want it more for them than they want it for themselves, right? They need to have that commitment and want to have a change in their life, because not like having an imbalance in their hormone, it's not just about having a baby, right? It's about your health. You're young people and you want to live a good life when you're 80, to look back and say, okay, my life wasn't in pain. It was joyful. I was able to enjoy my kids and see grandchildren, right? That's the whole point. It's
100%. Yeah.
And
one of the things I look at is it's called, longevity, right? I don't want to live longer if I'm not healthy. We have lifespan, which is how long you live. And then we have health span, right?
Yeah.
So the majority of people, people are sick now today at 35 years of age. They're on multiple medications, right? So just imagine if you're 60 years old and you're sick for 20 years until you're 80, and then you die at 80, right? So for 25% of your life, from 60 to 80, you're sick. That's a terrible way to be. My whole mission is to get people to live healthier longer. And I want to give people, quality adjusted life years. That means instead of being sick from 60 to 80, I want you to be healthy 60, 65, 70, 75, 77, 78, and then maybe get sick like the normal process of being sick and die at 80 or 79. And that way you've just gained, 17, 18, 19, 20 quality adjusted life years, because it's all about quality of life, right?
100%. Yeah.
It's what it is for me. It's all about quality of life. And that's our goal. And I know that's your goal as well. You want to improve people's quality of life. And if that includes having a baby and then being healthy for that baby, right?
That's the number one reason. Yeah. Because it's not just bypassing all this and just having a baby and suddenly tomorrow you're so exhausted you can't take care of the baby, because that's number one. Your health should be number one. And like they say in the airplane, put the oxygen mask first on yourself, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And what's nice about your program too is that then they can then take that, what they learned from you, and apply it to their children, right? And help their children be healthy. Yeah. Because, the way we're going now, there's not going to be any healthy people anymore unless people make some changes. And that's why we're here. That's our job, is to help people make changes to live healthier longer. So
100%. Thank you again. I know you have another meeting coming up, so thank you so much for sticking around and answering all of our questions. We hope to speak with you soon again.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, and keep going out and doing the good work that you're doing. All right.
Bye, everyone.